Did the most affordable and best sounding phono stage on the market, in my opinion, just get even better? Let's take a look. This is a full real-world experience with the new iFi Zen Phono 3, which is a follow-up to the iFi Zen Phono Stage, which is incredible, and I've been using now for 2 years, and I did highly recommend it and love it, but now we have the iFi Zen Phono 3, which actually comes along to replace that unit. This was actually released on Record Store Day of 2024, which I was not aware of at all, and then I found it scrolling along one day, and I've done some videos for iFi before, and I love their products. They're actually out of the UK, and they're the sister company to Abington Music Research. iFi specializes in lifestyle audio products, with some of the best devices being their DACs and their headphone amps. I also have the iFi Zen Can Signature 6XX headphone amp, and we'll talk about that in combo with this new Phono Stage. But full disclaimer here, they did send this to me as a review unit, and I also get to keep this, which is really, really great, so thank you very much, iFi. However, they don't get to make any notes on this video, and no money has changed hands, and I am not employed by them. This is my honest review, and this is now my primary Phono Stage at this point, so any of the recommendations that I'm saying here, I would say to a friend who would be looking for something like this. I'm going to review this unit in comparison with the previous model. If you have that unit, should you consider the upgrade? What are the upgrades of the newer model, and is it worth it? It is replacing the Zen Phono Stage, so if you want the original Zen Phono Stage, you'll have to go out and get either leftover stock or a used model or a refurbished model. This is now the primary Phono Stage from iFi. Also, you might be wondering what happened to the iFi Zen Phono 2. Well, this is now the iFi Zen Phono 3 because they're updating it along with the line of their Zen DAC as well as their Zen Can headphone amps. They're now all the Zen 3 models, so this is the Zen 3 model of their flagship Phono Stage. They do also have the iFi Zen Air Phono, which is a lower model Phono Stage. I've also done a complete review on that on the channel as well if you want to check that out. I was originally turned on to the original iFi Zen Phono Stage from Randy, the Cheap Audio Man. I'm going to link to his channel below. He has never steered me wrong with hi-fi recommendations. I also use speakers that he recommends, as well as a previous turntable, and he gets stuff sent to him as well, so you can watch people on YouTube who get stuff sent to them and still make educated buying decisions. I do it too. So let's start off with what do you get in the box and all the good stuff that comes with this. Here is the basic packaging out of the box that it comes in. Once we open the box, we get an iFi sticker along with a quick start guide and some other basic paperwork. Next, we have the accessories box that includes the RCA cables, which is nice that they include the RCA cables, as well as the basic power supply. We'll get more into the basic and advanced power supplies later in the video. Next, we have the unit itself, and I really like the outside finish this time. It's almost like a silverish gray, and the entire thing is a premium metal chassis. As well, it also has these rubber feet on the bottom that prevent it from slipping, and this is a 100% analog device. There is no digital circuitry or digital conversions going on in this device. The entire front look of the device is completely redesigned from the previous Zen Phono Stage, and it's now in line with the Zen DAC 3 and the Zen Can 3, as we mentioned before, with just the naming. It also looks different on the front. Overall, this is still very similar to the original Zen Phono Stage. Now, with either one of these, you can upgrade the power supplies from iFi. Now, they didn't send me that for this test unit, and maybe in the future, I'll see about getting that, and I do need to actually probably upgrade all the cables in my system, but they claim that you get better or cleaner power using that upgraded power supply. I don't know, but it's probably worth checking out. It doesn't seem to be that expensive. The connections and the settings on the backside are exactly the same as the Zen Phono Stage. You have your 5-volt power input, followed by the gain settings, which you have 4 different gain settings, one for moving magnet cartridges, and then 3 different levels for moving coil cartridges. The gain settings range from 36 dB for moving magnet, all the way to 72 dB for very low output moving coil cartridges. This is the first of the many standout features of this Phono Stage and part of its extreme value. You can pair this with very exotic moving coil cartridges and have different options for them, which is really awesome. Next on the back there is a solid ground post terminal, and then your standard RCA inputs and outputs, which are also gold plated. And then, just like the previous model, is the other standout feature for this Phono Stage. And according to iFi, the only Phono Stage in this price range that offers a 4.4 millimeter Pentacon, not Pentagon, balanced output. This can be used to connect an amp or active speakers equipped with a balanced input, either a Pentacon 4.4 millimeter or XLR inputs via an adapter. iFi does sell either one of those cables. You can also get different versions of those cables on Amazon as well. This is actually how I hook up my headphone amp, and this is huge for something less than $300 in the world of hi-fi units. You don't usually start to see balanced inputs and outputs until you get to like really high-end gear. Balanced connections allow for cleaner signals and specifically for the ability to run longer cable runs with less noise and interference in the cables. Anytime that you have a chance to go with balanced inputs or outputs, you definitely should take advantage of that. The form factor of the unit is still in line with all of iFi's DACs and amps and the previous Zen Phono Stage. However, they are updating the look of the front of this unit. It used to have a brushed aluminum look, and now, like I said, it's more in line with the Zen Can 3 or the Zen DAC 3. I'm still a little mixed on how I feel about this look. It has a futuristic retro vibe like all of their other stuff, and I'm not crazy about the green on it because I don't have any green on anything else that I have, and it's almost like a textured leatherette as well. But looks are just that, looks. There are actually some added functionality on the front. First off, it's easier to see all of the LEDs on the front with this rounded setup versus the previous model, which had all brushed aluminum and you could never see any of the LEDs of whether or not they were on. I would always have to like duck down and look at my unit just to see if the LED lights were on. We now have a new button on the front of the unit which handles load adjustment bottom. Now this is going to get kind of technical here and I don't know if I fully understand all of this, so please bear with me as I'm talking about this. But this alters the input capacitance and load impedance settings independently of gain settings. So this is different from the gain settings that are on the back of the unit. There are two different loading options for moving magnet and moving coil high cartridges. Users can choose between 100 or 200 PF capacitance, and then three options for moving coil low and moving coil very low. This, again, according to iFi, is unprecedented at this price range, and it allows users to best match their cartridge with the Zen Phono 3, which, by the way, I've been testing this with the Audiophile 2M Black as well as an Audiophile 2M Blue on two different turntables in two different rooms. And both of these cartridges have a recommended load capacitance of 150 to 300. So I've used it with this 200 setting and it's worked out really, really well for me. I do wish that I had a moving coil cartridge to try out the other features on this, but there are some other great reviews out there that tackle this, and I'm going to list those in the description as well, so you can check those out, and also subscribe and support those channels while you're there. And if you're finding any of this useful, you should subscribe to this channel because it's free and you're probably going to like some other stuff about the vinyl that I talk about or the equipment as well, so please subscribe below. Next on the front of the unit, we also have another standout feature of the Zen Phono 3, which is their subsonic filter. This was also on the previous model, but they claim that they've made some big improvements to this and they really speak highly of this feature. This is designed to reduce rumble and unwanted sounds from warped records. Now, I don't have many warped records, and I actually have a solution for dish warped records that you can also watch on this channel. None of the warps that I have really affect the bass sound of the record, but according to iFi, traditional subsonic filters can attempt to reduce the rumble or the unwanted bass noises, but they fail because they also reduce the bass frequencies of the music. This does not do that, and it's able to discern between the rumble frequencies of warped vinyl and bass frequencies of the music. They show it in practice here in this video, and basically it's showing that the subwoofer is doing a lot less work when it's handling a warped record or something that it's perceiving as this noise. I don't see a difference on my subwoofer cone movement. I've also tried turning this on and off while listening to it, and I don't notice a difference while listening. I've confirmed with iFi that you're not supposed to hear a difference when you're turning that on and off. I always leave it on, and I've always left it on with my previous one, and it's never been an issue for me. And like I said, in one of the other videos that has reviewed this item, they did do a test that shows the waveforms of this in comparison with it on and off, and it's proving that it's not affecting the bass frequencies at all. So it can help your speakers when using the subsonic filter, and it is a really good thing to have. And it's also something that, again, is another standout feature for this awesome item and adding to the amazing value of the Zen Phono 3. Now, I mentioned before that I hooked this up to the Zen Can Signature 6XX headphone amp as my headphone amp setup using the Sennheiser HD 6XX headphones. So many X's in those names. And it's really great that you can go balanced out from this into the balanced inputs of the headphone amp, and iFi even sells the 4.4 millimeter Pentacon cable, or you can get, like we said, the adapter that goes from 4.4 millimeter to XLR, which is even cooler. Now, I love this setup to be able to remove the little Duke Audio stereo and my speakers from the system, because I know that sometimes those can be considered as like low-end items, and so this just gives me a high-end reference item to go almost directly from my turntable and cartridge right to really nice headphones. If you primarily listen or do a lot of listening with headphones, this is a killer setup, and it's not that expensive either. I mean, if your only setup for your house is having vinyl with a headphone amp, this is one of the sickest ways to go. Now, coming back out of the speakers and amp, and even with headphones, the noise floor of this Phono Stage is extremely low. The Zen Phono 3 has a measured equivalent input noise figure of negative 151 dBV, which is negative 20 dB quieter than some stereophile Class A plus Phono stages out there, which are usually negative 131 dB. Now, I don't have any tools to measure this, but again, the reviews that I list below do, and they did some cool tests on the noise floor with this Phono Stage compared to the previous Phono Stage, as well as some other Phono Stages, and it is way quieter than all of them. It is a super quiet unit. I can crank this unit on my stereo and not hear any noise at all, and that's because of its standalone 1.2 millihertz power supply that's on its own island that's independent of any of the other circuitry on the circuit board. Now, the vinyl that I throw at this thing is extensive in both quality and genre. I've been listening to everything from UHQRs to the Rhino Hi-Fis, the Craft OJCs, lots of soul music, lots of Latin and percussion driven stuff, lots of jazz, mostly the Tone Poet and newer Blue Note stuff, but everything that I listen to sounds wide and open, and I really love this setup. It's not the most expensive setup, but it is definitely getting the job done in my house. I'm a drummer and a percussionist, and what I focus on a lot with music are the dynamics and crisp cymbal sounds and a lot of the different timbres, and as well, I really like cutting horn sections as well. All my Coltrane UHQRs absolutely scream through this thing. Coltrane's tone cuts so good with the combo of the 2M Black and the Zen Phono 3, and also things like strings and vocal stuff from even stuff like Sam Cooke and Nina Simone all sound absolutely amazing. I am really pleased with the sound of this, as I was with the previous Zen Phono Stage, so if you have that, should you upgrade? In doing a direct comparison between the two units, at first I didn't notice a big change. I was listening to this for a while, and it wasn't until going back to listening to this after listening to the previous Zen Phono Stage that I really noticed the wider sound stage and just the better dynamics that were coming out of this device. With that, should you consider upgrading? Well, it's a little tricky because, again, my initial thoughts were no, there's not enough of an upgrade here if you already own the previous one, and I'm usually a pretty frugal guy when it comes to this stuff, so I would probably be cool with staying at the previous one. However, It is super cheap in the world of hi-fi audio. This is only $249 brand new. So if you sold your previous Zen Phono Stage for even just $100, which is actually what the Air goes for new, you'd be almost halfway at the price of getting this one. This is definitely a $50 upgrade from the previous Zen Phono Stage. And since iFi doesn't offer the Zen Phono Stage any longer as a model that they sell, as a new model that they sell, this being their $250 Phono Stage, if this was the only one that you had to go get, I would highly, highly recommend getting it. It definitely is worth $50 more than the old Zen Phono Stage, even with just the few features that they've added. And again, it's a killer bargain, and it's an even better bargain now with some of the things that you get in it. But it's not like it's a day and night difference from the Zen Phono Stage. So if you had the Zen Phono Stage and you're very frugal and you don't want to go out and spend more money, you'll be just fine with that previous one. But if you do want to go out and get the better one, this one is pretty awesome to consider. I will say, if you do have moving coil cartridges, I probably would go out and get the upgrade for this, since this has the additional load options for the moving coil cartridges, as well as all the previous gain options that the other model had. Now, to help you out a little bit more with a more in-depth comparison, and to also show off a cool feature of this unit using the 4.4 millimeter line out, I'm going to record a piece of vinyl on both the Zen Phono Stage and the Zen Phono 3, going from my ATLP7 turntable and the Audiophile 2M Black into the Phono Stages, and then out of their balanced outputs into this awesome little device, which is the Zoom F3 digital audio recorder. This is a very cool little 2-channel recorder that can record in 32-bit float, which is basically like high dynamic range recording. It's getting all the highs and all the lows of the recording, so I don't actually have to set volume levels when I use this. In fact, the volume meter on this is actually just a visual representation just to show that it's recording. But then in an audio editor like Logic Pro or Pro Tools, you can adjust the volume and not have any clipping from the wave file that you have. So it doesn't record in FLAC, it records in wave, but this should give us a good representation for YouTube. I'll link the items below so that you can download them and you can hear and compare for yourself what the two phono stages sound like. Plus, it's just cool to see how you can record from the balanced 4.4 millimeter output, and it'll give you a little bit of an idea of what the quality is going into this XLR recorder, which is pretty awesome. Personally, I absolutely love the Zen Phono 3. It makes my vinyl sound amazing in both a speaker setup as well as with my headphone setup. It's always been reliable and easy to use, and for the price, it's hands down the best phono stage in its range. I would probably say all the way up to $500, maybe even a little bit more. Now, I've never owned a $1,000 phono stage, so take my opinion as it is, but I love the clean and dynamic sound that this thing produces, and you will too if you get it. And if you use the links below to get it from Amazon, you can always send it back if you don't like it. Also, those are affiliate links, so thank you very much for using them. If you found this video helpful at all, there are other cool videos on this channel about hi-fi equipment or vinyl records, like this one here, or this one here. You should go watch all of them and tell your friends about them. Okay, I'm gonna go listen to my Zen Phono 3. I will see you on the next one.